Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll talk to Jordan Pugh. The great part about talking to Jordan is I got to see his instant reaction to the game on Saturday, and then I get to get the Jordan who's kind of thought about things for a few days and kind of let it marinate. Jordan, good morning, buddy.
Hey, man, how you doing?
It was good to see you on Saturday, man. It was fun to do the show with you and see you in the press box. What'd you think of Saturday?
Man, I loved it. I think it's been about 4 years now since I've been back. So it was good to be back, man. It felt like home again. Love the changes. I got a chance to accidentally sneak into the facilities, and see around and see what's new. And I do have to say I am thoroughly impressed with what's down there. Man, but it felt good, man, being able to see everybody, talk to everybody on the sideline. As far as the game, man, utter domination from our point. Sitting back and having time to really look at it, man, we put a complete game together for the first time, I think, in a long time. The offense was flowing. You had a rhythm to the offense. The defense was doing their thing. Special teams came up big. I mean, even down to punts, man, going out at the 1 yard line or the 1 inch line. I just thought overall, man, it was a total team effort, total team performance. Everything that we're capable of being, everything that we should be doing week in and week out. It was exciting to see, man, but now it's something to build upon. You have the break. You have the rest of the SEC stretch coming up. How do we stack this together, man, and how do we continue to build towards the ultimate goal of getting to the playoff?
So when you watch this team play, let's take it two different areas. Like what potentially concerns you that this is not sustainable, or the flip to that, no, this is very sustainable because of X, Y, and Z.
Everything has been sustainable from a special teams and defensive standpoint. The thing that concerns me is the offense. And what I mean by that is, what is our identity? Looking back on it and really just paying attention to what we presented offensively, we don't have a true identity yet. I believe that our identity is in the run game on offense. Now, defensively, we know that everything starts with the D-line. We are a defensive line-led defense, right? Creating chaos, pressure, and holding the run. Offensively, where do we stack? Now, you can use that and you can say that because we've been, I don't want to say inconsistent at quarterback, but we've had a revolving door so far at quarterback. It's just been the nature of what it is, guys getting hurt and people playing. On this past weekend, man, you saw a lot of intermediate pass plays. You saw Connor be really effective. You saw him be everything that you wanted him to be at the beginning of the season, right? The Connor that we know, the Connor that I love. But then when you look at the run game and what our offensive line has done, how we've been putting teams away, especially in the second half, in the fourth quarter, I'm starting to lean towards us being more of a run team. But does that change now that Connor's back? Does that change now after the bye week and we have time to really assess? We have time to put some things in, get Connor back acclimated. What is our identity on offense? I think once we define that, it'll really tell us a lot more about this team and how we can progress moving forward.
See, Jordan, I think they've already identified that. I know what your point is, that now that you can throw the ball, But like if you look at this game, 36 rushing attempts, 236 yards. They've been doing that pretty much every single game. The beauty is the only 22 passes in that game, they threw, I think, 3, maybe 2 passes in the second half. Like they didn't have to pass the ball, right? So I like the ability of, we can throw it on you when we need to, and we're going to open up some drives doing that. But our bread and butter is our offensive line mashing and Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels and E.J. Smith running.
Well, the question is, and it's kind of a dumb question to ask, but the question is, do the coaches understand that? Now, it sounds crazy, but let me explain. When you look at Connor and what they did in that first game against Notre Dame, man, they wanted to spread it out. They wanted to get the ball out to the receivers out in open space. When you look at him exiting, getting hurt, and Marcel Reed coming in, you saw the run game start to take over, start to take more effect. You saw that identity start to take place within that 3 to 4 game stretch, right, if we include the Missouri game. Now with Connor being back and now the bye week coming, the question is, how do you blend the two? Because there's going to come a point where we play stiff enough defenses. Let's just take Texas as an example because that's the big dog right now, right? Where they will take away the run game. Now the pass game has to take over. Where is the blend in that? Where's the play action? Where's the boost? Where's the waggles? How does all that come together? And that's what I mean about the identity. I agree with you that we have formed that in the run game, but also at the same time, you have your passer back, your guy who can throw in tight windows, who can throw anticipation balls. How do we blend it all together? That's the question.
Well, I got another one for you then, along those same lines. The identity of this program is dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides. And the offensive line is light years ahead of where they have been the last few years. And the defensive line, if you're going to sit back there and pass, they're going to get to you.
Yeah, well, I would say this. I would agree with that with the line of scrimmage, but I would say our identity is a defensive team. Mm-hmm. That's what I'd say. We are a defensive-led team. That's who we are right now. Our best side of the football is on defense, hands down. We control the line of scrimmage. We create chaos. We get after the quarterback. But the thing that I'm going to keep harping on and keep going back to is now that you have your leader back, now that you have your passer back, how do you blend both worlds? Because, man, it's been 4 to 5 weeks without him now, right? So how do you combo that? How do you take his skill set and how do you thrive on that? Now, with that offensive line and him coming back, that's a great thing to have because you found something that you can lean on when times get tough, when you have to have it. You know you have that offensive line, you have that run game. But, man, as far as our identity, we are just a tough physical football team. And that starts with Elko, right? Everybody talks about the Elko effect. And we talked about this last week going into the game. I said we are the more physical football team, and that was on display. You're seeing that on both sides of the ball. You're seeing that in the special teams game, and that can take you a long way as the season progresses.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on Texas Ags Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Let's talk about the secondary, something you know quite a bit about, and just some of the plays that we've seen them do this year. Will Lee looking fantastic, and he's not the only one.
Yeah. So why am I just now finding out about this blanket thing? I'm just now finding out about that. I don't know much about it. I just happen to scroll through Instagram and I see a blanket. I'm serious. It's a heart attack, man. Like I scroll through Instagram and I see all of a sudden a blanket and a note. Am I right on that?
Yeah, but okay. Do you want me to tell you the story?
Yeah, what
I'll tell you the story.
I have no idea what happened. Yeah.
All right. So on Friday, Theo Weiss, I guess, puts on his Instagram story that Will Lee had sent them this blanket. And do you remember what it said, Callie? Like, I'm going to cover you all day or something?
Yeah,
Look forward to this or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Wait, he sent it to him?
Well, hold on. That's what Theo Weiss is saying, right?
Okay.
Somehow I ended up in his room, and he came in, oh, look at this. Oh, a blanket. Oh, okay. And then Will Lee that evening tweets out, wasn't me. Okay? Then Theo Weiss shows up at Kyle Field with that blanket draped over him as a precursor to what really happened in the game because he caught nothing when Will Lee was on him. I say all that to you.
Okay.
I thought it was fake from the beginning. And then if you listen to Coach Elko's comments about it, he basically says, why don't you go ask that coaching staff because we had nothing to do with it. So it looks like somebody, at least if you're believing the A&M perspective, which I do, somebody on the Missouri side said, hey, let me motivate my team. Here's a great idea. Let's send a blanket from the guy who calls himself the blanket to one of our best receivers and see if that motivates him. But here's the flaw in the story. Do you really think an 18 to 22-year-old kid who has school and has football to get ready for has time to type out this amazing letter, go to CC Creations, buy the blanket, somehow sneak it into the room? He finds out the room list. Theo Weiss is in room 17B or whatever, and goes up there, hides, gets in, leaves it there with his name on it, and then hours later denies, no, it wasn't me. Like, come on, man, that can't happen.
Wow. Well, now that I know the information, yeah, that sounds like an inside job. There's no way. Now that I have all the information, but if I'm Will Lee, I'm owning it. I'm owning it till the cows come home. Right? I mean, he's earned the right. He's played his butt off this season. That's interesting, man. Oh wow. This is all brand new information, so I'm absorbing it right now.
It's corny though, right? Like it's corny.
Right. And then, but if I'm Will Lee, I'm owning it. Yeah, I did that. It's the confidence. And then with that being said, man, you see the confidence that they're playing with. Outside of that first play of the game where they went down the sideline, man, the defensive backs have played well. Will Lee, Ratcliffe at the safety position. We already know about Bryce Anderson, Brooks. All of our guys, man, are combining, man, and they're playing well. But a lot of it all stems from the defensive line. The nation is not talking about our defensive line enough. And I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep preaching it. Those guys are phenomenal up front, especially Nick Scourton. Nick Scourton is really coming into his own. He's defining himself as the alpha. But that is helping the defensive backs overall. When you know that you have a D-line that can create chaos, that can create pressure on the quarterback, where the quarterback is constantly thinking about that timer going off in his head, man, and it allows you to play more free. It allows you to play more aggressive, man, and you can make more plays on the football. Our defensive backs, man, are really starting to come into their own. They have grown each and every week, but now you've identified a guy, man, who could take away a portion of the field and Will Lee. man, he's been going against the best receivers. He's been holding his own. It's allowing the safeties to be able to play free and roam and play the football in the air. I think that the cohesiveness of this group, the cohesiveness of the defense is all coming together, man, at the right time. But it's all stemming from what that D-line is doing.
How about that Terry Bussey play? As a wide receiver, Connor makes a bad decision. It looks like it's going to be a pick. And like somehow, Matrix style, he puts his hands up there, breaks up the play. The instincts of a DB stays with the DB, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a two-way guy. You know what I mean? That's a guy who understands both sides of the ball and who's been on both sides of the ball. But that's a game-defining play that nobody wants to talk about because that could change the momentum, the swing of the football. Man, you know the ball can bounce so many different ways, but him making that heads-up play, especially as a young guy, especially as a freshman, understanding the situation, that was a big swing, man, and big play by him.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Live. I just like that this team is not letting those little plays become plays, right? Like, because for instance, this game, I still believe it would have been a blowout regardless. But a play or two can change the way that, like, if they're able to connect on one of those early touchdowns, the one that they missed by just inches and the pass interference, the game feels like it plays differently. I still think A&M is going to run all day on them, and they're going to get to Brady Cook as much as they wanted. But the vibe of it feels different. This was a pretty much stress-free game because they did limit those early big plays.
Yes, and that's where you see the accountability of what Elko brings to the table, right? Holding his players accountable. The one thing that you see for this team, I think it was the beginning of the third quarter where we got kind of sloppy, right? A lot more penalties. Things could have got out of hand. They could have fought their way back into the game, but you saw them reassess, come back, and finish the game out. That's the accountability factor. When you're looking at that, man, you're talking about a focus level. When you get up that big, trust, I've been in those situations. You get up that big, you're laughing, you're smiling on the sideline, you kind of let loose, you lax. But having Elko and his staff, man, being able to get the guys refocused, locked back in, man, that accountability factor is taking place. But that's not something that just happens on one Saturday. That's something that is built over the entire offseason. The offseason, you're putting your footprint on the football team. You're putting your thought process, man, on the football team, your standard, and all that stuff is starting to take place. You're seeing it build throughout the season because there's plenty of times in the Arkansas game where it could have turned. Times early on in the Missouri game, it could have turned. You look at the initial game against Notre Dame, man, where it's just the dogfight, the initial adversity. You're seeing all the deposits that are put in the offseason, the accountability to the standard that's being upheld. You're seeing that showcase itself on Saturdays when those adverse situations come.
You know what's interesting, Jordan, is that you look at the team that played against Notre Dame, and Coach Elko told us from the beginning, like, just be patient with us. This is the first year of a new regime, new players, but it's hard in the moment. But what we have seen is a team that is getting better, right? Like, and the hope is it continues that way, right? Like, the hope is this Missouri game is not just a one-off, like that there's more of this, that maybe Mississippi State is slapped down. Then it sets up a massive showdown with a team that might be in the top 10 if they can take care of business this week against Ole Miss, like in LSU, right? Like, but the thing is, if you are getting better, all these things that we've talked about for the last few years since the 2020 season actually become a possibility and hopefully a reality.
Well, the key to what you just said was the last drive of the game. The last portion when it gets down to the goal line and we hold them, we stifle them. That is a culture set. That when everybody talks about culture can be defined 88 million different ways. But when you look at culture in a season-defining moment, that you can look back to that moment right there. The game is clearly in hand. We're dominating them at all facets. 10 seconds left, whatever it was in the game, and we still are fighting to make sure they know that we're the dominant team. That's what you're looking for in a program. And no matter what the situation is, no matter what we have at hand, how far we're above, we're not letting you get in this end zone. That right there seems little, but it's not. Those are players that understand the assignment. They understand the standard. They understand what Elko wants. And seeing that on Saturday brought me a lot of joy because I said, man, this thing is trending in the right way now. Guys are playing hard. There's no quit, and they don't stop until the game is done. That's what you're looking for in a team. Those are the team-defining things, man, throughout the season that you can pinpoint and go back hindsight and look at it like, okay, that's when we really started coming together.
I brought this up a couple different times. I love a player's perspective on it. So in the Jimbo regime, games were tight, right? Against teams that should be better than you. Jimbo's teams had an ability to muddy the waters enough to make it a close game and give you a chance in the fourth quarter. The problem with that is that would happen sometimes against inferior opponents too, right? Like every game was a stress bomb, all of them, right? Like, so getting a blowout like this that wasn't a stress bomb is such, like, it feels like so out of left field, but this is what it's supposed to feel like, Jordan, right? Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, that's what we said at the beginning of the year, man. Look, there's nothing wrong with having expectations, because when you look at what we've done from a facility standpoint and an investment standpoint, and you look at the player acquisitions that we've had, you better expect that. That's what you want to happen. But now, I told you at the beginning of the season, man, it's not necessarily the ingredients. Sometimes it's just the chef that knows how to make the right meal. And right now, what Elko is doing, man, he understands that this is the process. It's a long game that he's playing. You're seeing early effects of his plan taking place now. I think we're at 5 straight games now. You're seeing a team that's starting to dominate and take over games. You're looking at a physical football team, rushing attack. You're looking at a defense that's creating turnovers and chaos. You're seeing guys. You're looking at our quarterback situation, like we said earlier at the post game, where we have depth now. You're seeing the makings of a real football program, not a team, a program. And that starts with the head, man. And so looking at it, man, coming from the Jimbo era now to the Elko era, I think Elko understands the type of player that he has. He understands what this program is about. But the number one thing is that the players are meeting the standard now. That's what they've done so far through 6 games. Now, we got to finish. That's the one thing that we've always struggled with. We've always struggled with finishing strong. Okay, so now that we got this bye week, we got a week to reassess. We got a week to really start looking forward to the end of the run. How do we finish? This is going to be the makings moving forward of what Elko brings to the table.
Jordan, last thing for you. Let's talk a little bit about just what the bye week can mean for a team that has momentum, right? And how not to lose that momentum during an off week.
The first thing I'm telling them is I don't know how good we are. That's the first thing I'm saying when I walk into the meeting room. When I walk into the meeting room, I talk about, hey, man, great win, y'all. I understand that was the number 9 team in the nation, but based on what I saw on film, they didn't deserve to be in the top 10. How good are we really? I'm issuing a challenge, right? It's one thing to be able to have this great game, have this great win, top 10 team at home, all that. But now it's, look, in order for us to make a real statement, it's all defined on how we finish this year out. There's been plenty of times, man, where we've been in top 15, top 10 situations, then it all falters. It comes down to a focus, a mindset, and are we willing to strain and stress in order to be able to get our point across and finish these games? That's what I'm telling the team. And in this bye week, if I'm coaching in this bye week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we full padded up, we banging. We're going at it because it's a mentality that you're trying to shift. It's a mentality understanding that the job is not done. And I think that Elko has done a good job up to this point where he's getting the players to understand that the job is not finished yet. And I think if we can get that down, if we can understand what the assignment is and finish these last 6 games, we're going to be in a spot where a lot of people are surprised, man, going into that Texas game and then possible playoff push, because we have everything that we need. The stable is full. Now, will we maximize what we have? That's what we got to focus on.
Jordan, I want you to read or hear this text. Callie will read it there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. There's one that came in from a 903. Callie, take it away.
Yeah, it says, Jordan Pugh comes to a game for the first time in 4 years at A&M, plays lights out. A coincidence? I think not. He needs to come to more games.
I'm just saying.
All I need everybody to do is just let my wife know that I'm needed at more home games, and then she'll let me at the house, right? You know what I mean? You saw the text messages from my daughters, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
The text messages. They were lighting me up from missing the soccer game. But I am working to get to the Texas game. I'm trying to, finagle some things, vacuum a little bit more around the house, man, to be able to get that down. So I'm there if I'm let loose.
Dude, we can do Thanksgiving in College Station. Bring the family. We'll make it happen.
Talk to the boss, man. Talk to the boss.
I got you. I got you, Jordan.
All right, man.
See you, man. Jordan Pugh.